Everybody, welcome back to the Quantum Show. Thanks for showing up. And like the show says, the title says, being empathic. If you look at the shows that are out there now, there are a lot of shows to tell you how you tell you're this or that, like empathic, right? It shows you how to tell you are, but there's not very many shows about what you do with it later. Okay. And I'm kind of wrapping up a bunch of stuff that we've talked about before because it's all to do with empathy. And empathy is really, it's not okay. When you empathize in the English language, you are feeling what the other person is feeling. When you sympathize, you understand what the person is feeling. I'll even grab up the dictionary if you want me to, but um, I think we get the picture, right? Now, what I mean by that is, Deanna Troy from Star Trek, or okay, when you're empathic, you literally, how it works for me. I don't know how it works for other people, but how it works for me is I start feeling an emotion, and it seems to be me doing it. It isn't. It isn't me doing it. I'm tuning in. I'm hearing, feeling what that person is feeling, and taking it on myself. And it's taken a lot of time and effort, and it still does, to be able, yeah, I'm jumping right in the topic, y'all, to be able to determine what's mine and what's not mine. Okay. Um, and there's so much to it, right? All right. When I take on a whole bunch of, let's say, shopping in a Target or a Walmart or something, right? I have to shield myself, else I start feeling all these different emotions. I think they're mine, and well, let me slow it down. I've had a lot of coffee, so let me say hi to the chat room. Hey, Kelly Lewis, Raven, Renee, Ricky popped in, Woo Riders. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming by. Um, yeah, I'm gonna jump into the top, and then at the end, I will talk about my little short, right? But okay, so empathy is where you take on the feelings of someone else. The way it happens with me is I don't know they're theirs. At one point I did, and it was not pleasant. It felt like an alien an intrusive from outside thought. The first time I remember it happening that I noticed it was I was in the army and I was on a weekend pass from training in New Jersey. And we went, hey Aussie, and we went to eat, we went to this place, that place, and then we went to rent videos, right? This was actual VHS days, okay? Went to rent a video, and I remember being very relaxed. I had just eaten, so I was like, real fat and happy, what you say. Hey, Tim. And what was going on was I was open. I had no idea what shielding meant. No idea at all. Uh, and I was in AIT, so I was not in basic. I was in the next level up, advanced individual training. So we went to the video store, and I wasn't renting a video. One of my buddies was. So they went to go up there, and the lady was on the phone, and I got this wave of annoyance and impatience, but it was clearly coming from her. The only thing I can compare it to is you're listening to something on one side on like a headset or a radio or something, and then all of a sudden you hear another one blast your other ear or blast you right next to you. That's the only way I can really describe it, because it's not even like that. But I could tell it was coming from her, but it wasn't like you're hearing something, because I'm hearing noises from over there. I'm hearing noises from over there, and I can tell where they're coming from directionally, 2 ears, right? And just, how you do. When you see a light coming from somewhere, you can identify the source. You can identify it based on how it's acting. It's not like that, right? You don't see where it's coming from. I don't see where it's coming from. I feel it, and I have to. Now, I was unfiltered, right? Unfiltered, unshielded. This was the first time that I realized what was going on. Unfiltered, unshielded, and it hit me like a brick. Okay, it was not mine. I had no reason to feel that way, and it came and instant. It went in my head like bam, like bam. It hit me hard, and I was like, it stunned me for a second, but there was nothing going on, so I just calmed down. Okay, and that was the first time. Now that we're talking empathy, right? You learn as a person, just like you learn how to not listen to what's all going on in a crowd. You can ignore something, you can ignore these things, but it gets harder and harder the more that's around you. Like in Target, I go to Target, I have to put shields up. Shields can be anything. Refer to shielding show. I will touch on it right now a little bit. You can imagine Star Trek shields. You can imagine armor. You can imagine plates surrounding you, being in a tank, whatever works for you. And you can imagine your skin is made of silver, or you can just have everything reflect off of you. That is shielding, and it works because of the way our beings, or the way we are, our minds process energy, not thoughts, energy, right? So, hey, Dorothy, welcome back. Yeah, it just came from Amy's show, and it was really good. She was talking ufology, and she had guests on. It was really good. Link in the description to her channel. Go check out Amy. She's totally quantum. Though I have to keep talking her into admitting that she's quantum. If you weren't quantum, I wouldn't have your mug. And yeah, Amy says she's not psychic. She is. She's not empathic. She is. She reads those cards. People just don't read cards for fun. If they do, they're just playing poker. Um, but yeah, Amy's totally quantum. Anyway, going back to empathy, right? Just talking about where I was before. Um, okay. And you learn to filter these things out, like you filter out voices in a crowd. You filter out, you're not looking at, like when you drive, most of us here drive a car or ride a bus or something. Well, when we're looking out the window or the windshield, we are focusing on the road and we're tuning out what's around it, like bright lights, right? You see headlights, you take note, you don't focus on them because that's bad. When you're driving at night, you have headlights coming this way towards you. If you focus on them, you can drive into them. You don't do that, right? It's sort of like that, filtering out voices in a crowd and filtering out background noise. Like right now, I have a fan, two fans running. Okay. I am not paying attention to them because they're constant and they're in the background. I don't need to pay attention to them. I'm filtering them out. It's coming in, getting noticed, going out. That just like that. And but the more people that are around using empathy, when you are empathic, you take on all those feelings. And I thought I had just a high blood pressure problem, but I was 20, 30. Okay. And I would get high blood pressure and I would get anxious. I would basically have a little miniature panic attack. So what I wasn't shielding, and all that stuff was coming in, and my filters were getting overwhelmed, and it was making it through, and I was feeling all those little emotions. Just a little bit. If there's 500 people in a store, you're feeling most of them. Or I was feeling most of them. And each one was like a pinprick. Well, they say death by 1,000 cuts. Kind of sort of like that, except uh going crazy by 1,000 cuts. I was getting paranoid and a mini panic attack. So I started shielding, and it works. I personally use a crystal shield. It's made of crystal, and that both destroys, I imagine, and that's important. I imagine, right? I imagine anything coming at me bounces off, and if it doesn't bounce off, it shatters, and the shield remains. It it's pointy. Some of it's pointy. Some of it can become pointy. Some of it's smooth. And sometimes I just go with iron plates. Like boom, I'm a tank. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Make believe is real. It's in your head, right? And there's a show, Children of the Damned, old movie, Children of the Damned. Okay, they use psychic attacks, and Christopher Reeves is in it. What he figured out how to do was shield against their psychic attacks. Now, if you remember the movie, he tried to build a brick wall. Well, hammer defeats brick wall because hammer defeats brick wall. What he did was he eventually thought of the ocean. It's dynamic. It's always stimulating. The noise, the movement. He imagined the ocean, and they were like, oh, "We can't get through." There's a shield up. It's not a shield like a solid shield. It's dynamic. It changes, and you are saying you're a random ocean, and whatever's trying to get in is trying to predict that. Can't predict it. It's like predicting all the hundreds of lava lamps. So, hey Travis, welcome to the Quantum Show. I don't think I've seen you here before. Great to have you. Thanks for coming by. Hope you enjoy what you hear, because if you're here, you're quantum, right? So I hope I forgot to do this, right? Do I sound okay? Sound okay? Let me know, please. I think I do because people are responding. And I got my cool Quantum Show mic here, Guitar Hero. People get these Yeti mics and they're all such a pain. USB mic goes, it just works. So please tell me, sound check, do I sound good? Do I sound good? I think I do because people are talking back. All right. Good deal. I will go ahead and pull that banner down. I'm glad I'm sounding okay. Good deal. Getting sound checks are good. Sound is good. Tim says sounds good. Okay. So, empathy and shielding and knowing what's yours and what's not yours. Remember the last week, the girl in the woods, which was pretty cool, interesting, but cool. Horror movie cool, right? Okay. What made me not record was I was excited. She was excited. I picked up on it, and I kind of wanted to pick up on it. Come on. She's a pretty girl, right? Runs up to me for help. What am I going to do? Soft spot right there. So, the emotion took over from logic. I had my phone in my hand, right? So it wouldn't have took nothing for me to boop, boop, hit the camera and turn it on and start recording. But I was taken up at the moment by the emotion, by her emotion. I could feel her fear. I could tell she was scared. And you can tell someone's scared, but then I can feel the fear, right? And now I've been doing this long enough, years now, that I can tell when it's mine and when it's not mine. And that really, yeah. Yep. Yep. Totally. Totally. Please help me, big strong man in a large car. Not really large, but yeah, be careful of the pretty ones. Yeah, I thought my instinct took over after I started walking in the woods with her. I was like, hold up, hold up. This is the start of a horror movie. And I was hyper aware, and I did give her that look of, if this is set up, I will kill you. You know, kind of like I will find you and I will kill you. That kind of thing. That kind of look. And But it wasn't a setup. If it was, it didn't work. And I maintain that that was meant to happen. I don't know the reason, but it was meant to happen. Maybe I was the instrument. Maybe she was an instrument for me. Don't know. But whatever happens, happens. It happened. I don't know. I don't need to know. It would be nice to know. And I still don't know what that box is. But then again, it's on private property. It looks legit. It's none of my business. I got to keep going. But anyway, I was affected. I felt her fear, her excitement, and I let it. I let it in because pretty girl, to be totally honest. So that was, and now I know what's not mine and what is mine, and I can tell what's not mine and what is mine, and I'm starting to feel. And you know what else? When you get a corrupt node on your crystal network, and I have a crystal network, right? You can tell it starts jamming up the channels. Okay. It's I liken things to technology because I understand it. Um, but that is so we've established empathy. You feel in other people's things. What now? First, you need to learn to shield. It's something I've been able to do, and this is cool. I imagine like a riot shield in front of me, and you know how they have that little cutout for the person to look through? I use that. I'm able to shields up and then scan. And I look around and I link and not link, but listen to where I want to listen to. And it seems to work. I am shielded. I do this all the time now, right? Before now I know how to do it. It's some self-discipline and some imagination. It takes all that stuff, right? And I imagine I have a kind of a riot shield in front of me and I'm looking through and I can only be affected by what I'm looking at. If I like I'm in line here, if I look over here, I'm no longer in line here. Now I'm looking over here. This is now shielded against this direction. It's really that easy. So what do you do with it? Right? That's shielding. You have to be able to turn it off or at least dial it down. And that's how you do it. You shield. Now what? Okay. After that, now what good is it doing you? Well, you can know how people are regarding you. You cannot lie to an empath. Okay. Do not try. If someone is like staring at somebody like that, they're feeling them out. And they have enough experience, I'd say, to know that when they feel something, that's what they're feeling. Maybe that's the way it is for me. If I stare at somebody or pay attention to somebody or focus in on somebody, I can start, I really do. Sometimes it hits me hard. Sometimes I have to let it in because of insecurity and worried about. Hey, Samantha, I didn't see you come in. Welcome back to the Quantum Show. Number one fan right there. So, okay, here's a question. Dorothy asks, do you think you were born empathic or did it develop in your time through observation? You know, that's a good question because I don't know. I know that when I was 4, I took a good hit on the head and I got rewired. So that did some stuff. I don't know. I know I got it now, and I know a lot of people got it now, and I know a lot of people got it. So I honestly do not know. I think we're all empathic from birth. Here's something that keeps you from being empathic: fear, insecurity, and those things really keep you, your ego keeps you from feeling out. It keeps you from a lot of stuff. If you're scared, especially about what people think of you, I don't care what people think of me, right? I got a lot of haters right now. And let me tell you, if you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong, right? And Aussie, I just happened to look over. Aussie is saying, I get vibes about people. Is that empathic? It can be. This is not an exact science, okay? There is no good book on this stuff. There's no one book on how to do this. This is not remote viewing. And and the fact that we humans are involved in it makes it so random. Okay. But it could be, I would say it is, because first of all, you're here, you're in the paranormal community. So you know what? You got to want it. And you got to say, I don't care what anything happen, what else happens. I want it. I would like for this to happen. I want it. I'm open to it. You're basically telling yourself, and you're opening that door. If you compare it to technology, you're opening the port in the router. You're plugging the wire in, and you're enabling the interface, right? You're turning on the network. That's how I think of it, and it works. Other people, you can pick up their insecurity and their fear when you are empathic. You have to not take it on. It's hard to take. That's where you develop filters. And you kind of do that. I've done it instinctually, but now I'm doing it hands on because I know they're there. I know they're being put in place for a reason, and I'm doing it on purpose now. Because it's like having a complicated tool, like a fancy multimeter. You own one. What do? You know, how do you work it? It's not a screwdriver, it's not a hammer. It is complicated, and it takes practice, constant practice. Because if you're out of practice and you go, "Oh man, there are there are lots of shows and people describing empathy, how to use it, how to not use it, how to abuse it." But nobody says what now, right? They say how they no, excuse me. They don't say how to use it. They say this is what I do. And it's all I can do too, right? You have to have some kind of oh man. Okay, maybe too much coffee, but or maybe not enough. Mm. So filtering is the filtering and shielding, knowing what you're getting, putting up a shield that you can see through. Because if you're blind, if you're sight blind, what good is that? You might as well not have any ability at all. And there are other things that empathy opens up. All right. Once you're able to open it up, that means you've turned off the fear and insecurity and anything stopping you from being able to do these things. That opens other things. And it also opens up some scary stuff because you're talking higher self things happening at that point. Okay. I have had now, we've heard people talk about the chart that you figure out what you're going to do before you're born. You go over it with angels and guides and family. And okay, have we heard about that? If not, go look it up. I haven't done a show on it yet because it's not what I do. I haven't experienced that enough to talk about it as a full topic, but other people have. And you also have exit points. I was talking with Raven about this the other day. An exit point. An exit point is where you can say in your chart, this is where I'd like to get out of that incarnation, that life, Earth. Okay. And you can take it or not take it. The strangest feelings happen. Okay. I want to say it's like remembering a dream, but it's not like that. It's That's the only thing that I can compare it to is remembering a dream. You have to be in that mindset of the dream to remember the dream. And sometimes we can do it half asleep. That's not the thing here, right? It's the only thing that's anything like it. I have been able to sense a couple of exit points. It was it was the weirdest non-crazy sensation ever. Okay? The craziest was the cemetery. That nothing has topped that yet. However, Uh, one time happened in Saudi Arabia. Okay. We had buildings and they were trailer homes, right? They were basically business trailers, different sizes, different lengths, widths, double wides, a bolt in the middle, very cheaply made. And well, it was like a bunch of barracks and PX. I told this to Raven the other day. Um, this is something that happened to me, and it freaked me out at the moment, but I was busy. I was in Saudi Arabia being deployed, so couldn't think about it. However, this is what happened. It was a hot zone, but I was off of duty. I was on my own time. You know, you go in for your shift and then you stay ready to be called, but we never got called. It's kind of like garrison in the field. I don't know how to say. I don't know how to explain it. But I went to the PX. They had steps. Now this is a trailer. It's up on blocks, up on whatever. It's higher, and there was steps going up to it, and there's like 8 steps. And at the bottom, so much traffic wore a low spot in the sand underneath at the bottom of the steps. Okay. I walked in, I bought some stuff. I walked out at the top of the steps. The rails were too far apart to grab onto each one of them perfectly. You could barely touch both of them, right? So you can't do that here. You have one right next to you, you'd be able to grab the other one, or you can't reach it at all. There's codes, you know, house codes, safety codes. Not there. So I was at the top of the steps and they were uh I took the first step, I took the second step and stumbled. Okay, here's what happened. I saved it, but I froze because in my mind, I could see myself trying to catch the railing, missing it, not fixing my feet, falling down to that depression and crunch. And that was the end of me. I remember this. I have gone over this before, but it was a long time ago, like a year ago. So I figured I think that was an exit point. And I think I dodged it, or I had a chance and I didn't take it. Right. Funny how you can look at it like that. You had a chance to die, but you didn't take that opportunity. Funny looking at it from the empathic side, really is. And yeah, Dorothy is several. Don't we have several exit points? Yes, we can choose them as we go, or not. I think I chose to not go that time, and so that happened, and it was the weirdest feeling. At first, I mean, it played out in my head. I saw myself from my perspective going down, and you know what? There was like 7 or 8 steps, and I was already on step number 2. Wasn't far to fall, so it didn't take that long. And I saw myself fall down, try to correct, lose my balance even worse, fell down, and I heard crunch as my neck broke. I heard it. I will never forget this experience. Okay. But the entire time that was happening, which was all of 1.2 seconds, I was, I had reached over and grabbed the other rail after I caught my footing and froze and just experienced it. And I was like, and it just, I was like, but I was already kind of paranoid because I was deployed and there was all kinds of stuff going on. So since I was deployed and there was all kinds of stuff going on, I had to get my mind back to me and drive on, keep going what I was doing. So I did. And I didn't think about it for a long time. Right. Mm, sorry. I didn't think about that for a long time. I didn't process it. And now I have. And I can tell you that story, what happened. That was, I believe that was an exit point. There's also a feeling of contentedness and none of this really matters. Mm. And well, Here we are. And that's the way I was feeling. That's the way those things feeling, right? Right. Okay. However, it could have been an exit point, Dorothy. It could have been. When you're when you're considering exit points, it's not something you can nail down. I couldn't nail this down. I mean, even now, all I got is a story. I don't have a broken neck. I didn't break my neck. I made it home from Saudi Arabia. So I don't have any evidence of this. But I don't think we're allowed to have evidence of this stuff. I think we're allowed to experience it, and that's it. Okay, anyway, I wanted now is a good time for me to say, where am I at? I need to hit like and subscribe. If you're here, you're quantum. I still need to check and see if my show is making the subscribe button glisten every time I say subscribe, because it does that for other people's shows too. And if you're here, you're quantum. Oh yeah, Aussie, I would like to know about it. I would like to hear about it. Put it in the chat. Let's talk about it. Ah, okay. And go ahead, Bob, get something to eat, bro. We will be here, if not live, recorded. It's going to YouTube. Okay. So that was an experience. That was an exit point. I felt an exit point recently. It's I think I was driving. See, it's so hard to think of. I can't remember when it happened. It could have happened 5 days ago. It could have happened a year ago. But I think I was driving. But I had a feeling of contentedness that none of this matters. I was slightly disjointed uh from reality, right? And like I like feeling all my senses were dulled, like I was kind of stepping back. And yeah, it was there. I didn't have to deal with it. Like if I pinch myself, I'm gonna feel it, and it's gonna be at the forefront of my mind because I'm pinching myself. If I smell, forefront of your mind, I'm looking at the LEDs on the camera, forefront of my mind, right? I'm feeling the air move past me because of these fans, forefront of my mind. I can choose to, but but it's so very disjointed, like you're half asleep, but you're totally aware. And there is more, and some other things I couldn't figure out. I was aware. Higher self. I can only say higher self. It was a different frame of mind, different perception. And I got another thing. Hey, Zach, welcome back. Yeah, Tim is saying, isn't any point an exit point if you take it darkly? Yeah, you can. But then if you take it, you wrote it in. That's how dynamic this stuff is. You know what I'm talking about. You've done this before. But thank you for the conversation point. Yeah. If any exit point is an exit point, you can take it as much as you want, but you're not going to want to because it's not for you. I don't know how else to say it. um Aussie is saying I asked him to. The last one was 9 years ago. I was drunk and I got tortured, and if I got to the hospital a minute later, I would have died. Literally tortured. Okay. Or like by somebody on purpose. That sucks, man. Well, I'm glad you made it. Yeah, fair enough, Tim says. Yeah. So, okay, I've danced around a little bit on this, but now what? First was shielding, next was focusing and filtering. And what good does it do you? Well, you can't be lied to. That's a great thing. You cannot be lied to. Or if you are being lied to, you know it. You know somebody's bullshitting you. And oh, another thing is when you can feel them. right? And you have that goodness in you that you know you're good, there are people out there that will work with you. And I'm talking socially, not at work, right? I'm talking like on your own recognizance, on your own cognizance, not your, you have to be there, not a workplace environment, but on your own. You can go around someone and you do this too. I'll get to it, right? They can work, they can talk to you, talk to you, talk until they are all of a sudden fed up and they do not want anything to do with you. All of a sudden, they just can't take you anymore. I've had that happen several times. I thought I was the problem, right? I thought I was the one. It was them because they were trying to, first, they were trying to BS me and they were trying to BS themselves. On themselves, that's on them. I'm not going to try to diagnose them, but they were trying to BS me and I just wouldn't fall for it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. There was this dude sold me a truck or sold me a truck. He wanted to buy it back. And I was like, okay. He goes, well, I'll give you the 400. It was not a very nice truck. I'll give you the 400 in 2 months, but I need a title now. I'm like, well, I need 400 now. And he wasn't winning me over. These people who use their charm. Now this is years ago. $400 for a toll truck. Yeah, it was years ago. And it was a straight 6 Ford. It was, mm, mm. So he got so frustrated working with me because he couldn't bullshit me and I wasn't going to do it. Well, he bullshitted somebody else, got the $400. Okay. Another one, trying to think. I mean, I had it in my head what I was thinking about, but um, yeah, Dorothy is saying expert BS detectors. Yep. Oh, and we don't want to be around people because their bullshit will get so big and so out there, they'll start trying to spew it on you. You're like, no, I'm done. I don't want nothing to do with you anymore. You are either toxic, lying, uh, just not nice of a person, whatever it is. And you'll be like, I'm done with you. I've had to do that a couple times. I mean, recently, unfortunately. And well, I'm saving myself because I was taking on all that from that person, those people. And I was like, no more. I'm not going to deal with it. You sometimes you do that with anybody. I'm not going to, I got ghosted and I was like, I'm not going to deal with it. And they kept trying to ask me, hey, you, hey, you. And I was like, nope, 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 nope. I'm not even addressing it. And there was a lot of blocking going on. And now they both hate me. Oh, well, there's more than two. I said both. Both come to mind, but there are many more than that. That's okay. All right, let's see here. Zach is saying, I'm so empathic, sometimes I have to excuse myself from certain situations with people, both in person and just by seeing or hearing about something secondhand. It's annoying sometimes. Yeah. Hey, Brunklander. Hey, Zach. Shield. Did you? I have a show on how to shield yourself. It's a very short one. It's a very little how to, point to point to point, how to shield yourself. That way, and it becomes second nature. It really does. When you get used to shielding, in in my case, it was about a week and a half, right? I was shielding on purpose. I started shielding automatically. I knew to shield, and it became like habit. Yeah, shielding is important for this. You can take on those feelings. And also if someone dude, why? You can take the logical, why can't I do this? What's stopping me? Now let's undo that, right? You can shield. The only thing is stopping you from shielding is you saying, I can't. Really? So you can. It's just you have to know what's happening and then nothing gets through. Seriously, it's seriously that easy. you know? Samo started shielding. He had anxiety issues and he had things in crowds. And I was like, do the shielding show. He did it. Yeah, you'll feel silly doing it. Who cares? No one sees inside your head unless you let them, right? And it helped him. Now I can go anywhere and I got shields up, no more anxiety attacks. Okay, I was trying to not do this, but I have to be right back, okay? Coffee, this is like my second bottle of water. Uh do I got one of them here? Be right back. Watch. Now we're live. Watch for ghosts. I should make a banner that says that. Okay. Survived. It's all good. Okay. Yeah, I know I don't need no more coffee. I had to empty out the reserves right there. Now let me go ahead and yeah, I left the coffee cup this time because I needed to I'm looking at the chat. We're at 43 minutes. I can look at the chat now. And let me see here. Everybody's coming in. Welcome again. Let me go up to the everything. Travis, Dorothy, Kelly, Aussie, Tim, Raven was here. Ricky was here. Let me see. Samantha is here. I'm going through everyone who I see is here. Bob Marley, welcome back, Bob. I know you've been here before. And all the Zach Diecast Monsieur, welcome back. Aussie Tiger. Let's see who all is here. Yeah, that's about it right now. Now, this is the solo. I do a solo first hour. Bronklander RC. I know you were here. Cool. Thanks, everybody, for coming to the Quantum Show. If you're here, you're a Quantum. Christine, you're lurking. I'm lurking and cooking and listening. Okay. Well, glad to hear you listening. I'm trying to make it, I'm going over a few things that I have had happen. So, yeah, that's the what to do now about it. You can feel people like you. It's not telling the future. It's seeing how people are interacting with you. But like I said before, it does open up a lot of other avenues. You can do other things. It's not limited to just people. Animals. Animals love empaths because you're putting out, you can feel them, you're identifying with them, you put out like frequency, and they want to like you. They understand, they're empathic too. Animals mostly are empathic. Most animals are empathic. Cats especially. Cats are very empathic. Cats are I bet telepathic. So animals will tend to like a person who is empathic and nice. You can't be an asshole and have animals like you because they're going to pick up on you're an asshole. So, like my cats, not my cats, my mom's cats. I was saying cats. I tend to get along with cats. I get along with all animals. And Tim, I did that thing with the rabbit back in the day. Remember? That was cool. And I was brand new at this stuff. So, and you tend to do things with more compassion because you can feel what the other person is going through and you don't like it. You don't want it for them unless you're just a total jerk, right? So they will where was I sorry, I got derailed by that text message come in. I'll have to look at it later. Just saw that it came in. Um Let me just go back to animals, right? You'll feel you tend to dial I tend to dial into other people, right? And it's almost like taking on characteristics and it's almost like imitation, but I'm literally feeling it and I don't mean to do it sometimes. In school, it's the kid that wants to try to identify with the other guys, and I did that a lot. And I got accused of being a poser a lot of times, and well, I didn't know how to shield, and I think now I was 4 years old when I hit my head. So every time after that, I have been that way and this way. So I was accused of being a poser, trying to be a pick me or whatever, and trying to get people to like me. I was insecure. And but that those circuits were still brand new and turned to 11, right? I've since learned to get over that. I don't do that no more. I dial myself back. I pay attention because as time goes on, you get experience doing what you're doing and you learn how to do it better. Better suiting to what you need it to do. Like you practice with your multimeter, you'll know what to do with it. You'll know how to do it. You'll know what not to do. You don't measure high voltage DC on AC circuit and vice versa. You don't measure AC on DC or DC on AC. You could blow up the device and it will never work again. That happened to mine. So though I don't think this stuff is going to be breaking anytime soon, something that did happen. Another army story. I was young. I think I was 19. And I hadn't started looking at anything in the paranormal, supernatural, nothing. And I was in a room with a whole bunch of people. They were civilians. I was a chaplain's assistant. This was the fellowship hall. And I was getting cookies and coffee and things ready for them. And all of a sudden, I felt all of them. But this was like telepathy. I felt 100 voices in my head all at once. And it was like, it was like a stadium in my head. And I was like, and my coworkers, I was like, I'll be right back. And I had to walk outside and clear my head a little bit. From that point, for at least 2 years, I had a Led Zeppelin song stuck in my head as a defense mechanism. Led Zeppelin, the song remains the same. 2 years. Now I never want to hear that song again, right? And yeah, that was a self-defense mechanism to bog down the circuits that were hearing all that stuff. But it also blocked everything. And oh god, the song, I don't want to hear it. I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Okay. That seemed more telepathic, but everything was turned up to 11 and I had no control over it. And it hit me hard and everything all at once. Sorry. It's the South. I'm in Tennessee and there's pollen and everything everywhere. Everything is bugging me. So I think I've discussed how to use empathy to help your lifestyle, help your life getting along with people and feeling exit points. And also you can use your empathy as the beginning to speak to other spirits like your spirit guide. That's a good one to start with, your spirit guide, because they're there for you. They're not out there random people walking around, right? Hope I have been clear. I hope this has been good. I didn't script anything this time. I was watching Amy's show right before this, and I was watching Rich's show, and I was watching Keith's show. Everybody's got a link in the description. Tim, you have a link in the description too, Tim Stafford. And okay, I hope I have been clear enough, right? Let me go over. I should have been writing this stuff down. Of course I didn't. You know you're empathic already. Let's go past that, right? What do you do? What now? Shielding, filtering, focusing, which is one chapter, I guess. Filtering and focusing, and then not taking on other people's stuff as your own, and knowing your ego and your own fear and insecurity are keeping you from doing it. You can shield, dude. Shielding is okay. Bronklander is saying empathic is confusing as fuck for me for a lot of the time. I have to resort to asking very straightforward questions to people, make sure otherwise I end up reading way between the lines and misinterpreting. I don't know if that's empathy you're doing, but could be. I don't know. I suggest you shield, right? I suggest you shield. Don't. And what I do is I stop trying to guess intentions, and I feel that person out. I can feel that. Some people are very simple. I'm gonna get real close to the mic. Some people are very simple. Some people are two-dimensional. You don't need any kind of filtering. They're obvious to you. You can read them like a book. You see their insecurity. You don't even need to see their face. You don't need their body language. You can feel them. When you're an empath, you're one-on-one with somebody and you are able to block out everybody else, you can feel them. You can damn near dissect them. And I think this runs in my family because my sister's got it and we all got it from my dad's side. Okay. So that being said, does this get the point across? Does this look like I'm being really serious? Because that's a finer point that you don't want to do this often because you can really fuck somebody up. You can mess somebody up by digging in their head because they won't know what's going on. You will. It's very Professor X, very X-Man-ish. So I don't recommend doing it, but sorry. I'm talking about a couple of people right over here, right? Real humans, not ghosts. And I'm like, okay, I don't want this to get out. Hope you can hear me. Oh, okay. Got that said. Okay, right. Oh, another thing is, another thing I noticed, right? I don't need to hold it. Is since I started accepting it and honing these senses, I now have, you look at me, you you see what you see, you hear me. If you're in the same room, you would, you know, uh smell whatever a person smells like if you're close enough, whatever. But all your senses, I my friend, my buddy Adana, right? She was working at her gas station and just goofing around. I took her picture while she wasn't looking. Just I don't know why. I don't know why. I felt like a 20-something year old. Um, I was empathizing with her goofiness because she's 20 something. She's goofy. They're all goofy. You're all goofy 20 somethings. Just love life right now. You're all goofy. And I took her picture and went back to it much later, like a day later. And I was looking through pictures. I was like, who is this? I didn't recognize that person. Some woman. It was Adana. You know what I was sensing? All this plus an empathic awareness, because that graphic representation of her didn't hold that dimension. Imagine a picture that doesn't record red. Imagine a picture that doesn't record green. Okay. That specific color in the color band. That is something I've noticed that I do. And everybody who is empathic, which we all are, can do, right? You can perceive that these people, um, with all this plus how do they feel generally on the outside? You're not even looking in. How do you feel? How do they feel to you? Okay. I'm looking at the chat room. Thank you, Dorothy. Very interesting. I'm hoping that I did a good job today talking about this stuff. And the panel will be coming up 20, 30 minutes, give or take. I'm not looking at my phone right now. Panel coming up 20, 30 minutes. We got a panel coming up. And let me go ahead. Now, I will now address the short that I made. The short about the, and this has to do with empathy, right? The do not cross show. You do not do that, right? That show where I said, these are things you do not want to fucks with, right? And because they will mess with you for life, through lifetimes. Well, people have disassociated with me and the quantum show, and I'm happy with it. Because you know what? When I say if you're here, you're quantum. Also, if you're not here, you weren't meant to be here, right? So, sayonara, where they say, God be with you, good luck. So, that's okay. Ever since that show, I'm talking last week, okay? I've had, first, I had to meditate and take all the nice feel good herbs to get over that show. And then I was in a funk for a day. And I was angry and irritable and pissed off because of that, right? I don't need those topics. It was an educational show. Those were the repercussions, right? Right. Do not cross. Do not do this. Do not go here. You don't need to experience it to know bad, okay? That you don't do that stuff. Like, I don't need to know meth is bad. By doing it, I can just know it's bad. I don't need to do it to know it's bad. Don't do it. And yeah, certain people have quit, have disassociated. They don't talk to me. That's okay. You're here because you're not quantum, or you're not here because you're quantum. And you know what? It works either way. It's kind of like algebra or math. You're here because you're quantum. You're here because you're not quantum. You're not here because you're quantum also. That's fine. That's fine. And Dorothy, yeah, that was as close to fire and brimstone as I will get. And I'm not going to revisit those topics. I'm going to link to the show because that was a rough show to get through. Okay. And thank you, Lynn and Frank, for saving me from myself because I didn't need that. I didn't need that. They helped me out on the panel following. It was, and I did script it. Okay. Well, bullet pointed it. I didn't script it. I bullet pointed it. And I went through that. Okay. So people have left, and that's fine. They didn't want to be here after that I'm saying, for personal reasons. I'll leave it at that. I ain't going to yell at nobody. I ain't going to say, do not do this, except don't do meth. That's bad. You go, do not cross show. Don't do those things. Those are bad. But I ain't saying nobody, right? But they disassociated from me, and I'm okay with it. God be with you. All right. It has been 1 hour, and that is the Quantum Solo. Thanks, everybody, for being here. The panel will be up in just a little while, 20, 30 minutes. I feel pretty good about getting the points across of empathy and how to use it and how to make it work for you. And when you learn to make it work for you, you will want to make it work for others because you don't run out. It's not like a resource that runs out. You never run out. You want everyone to be in communication because it doesn't run out, right? Okay. Whoo. Okay. Meth is bad. If you're here, you're quantum. Don't do meth. Right. Bad, bad, bad. Okay. Thanks, everybody. That was fun. This has been fun. The panel will come up. I don't know who's going to show up for the panel, so we'll see. Thanks, everybody. Keeping it quantum. And what do I say? Pushing buttons. We're always pushing buttons. Pushing buttons.